This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so we're going to talk about appointments, and I'm just pulling up your answers. But so what I'd like to show you first is how a student schedules how a student schedules an appointment. And
Okay.
so the way, and so this is, again, you can use appointments a couple of different ways. So this is the appointments module. In a second, I'll log in as a student and I'll show you the process from their perspective. And so you can have students use the module on their end, like in their interface to schedule an appointment, or you can manage all of that just on your end manually. So you have some options as far as how you'd like to use the module. So what you can do is have, let me log in as a student. And so if you would like, so this is the student interface of Accommodate. This is what students see when they log in. And so if you'd like for them to schedule appointments, they can start by clicking on the appointment tab. And then they'll see any appointments that they've already requested and any that have been approved. So they can go ahead and request a new appointment. They'll start by choosing a type. And so what I did, and we can talk about this, but based on your answers, I put in a couple of options. Like they could pick a 60-minute initial interview. Oops, I need to take away the S. A follow-up interview that's 30 or 60 minutes. So you can do it that way where they pick, an appointment type that's tied to a length, or you could just allow them to pick an appointment type and then choose how long they want the appointment to be. So you could kind of go either way.
Okay.
Okay. And so then after they pick the appointment type, they can narrow down the date range that they're searching for an appointment. So like I could look, just for Wednesday through Friday. They can narrow down the time range and then the location. So if you will have a different type of appointment, see if that works. There we go. So if you are going to offer virtual appointments, and on-campus appointments, you can set up availability so that students could pick if they want to meet with you in person or if they want to meet with you online. And then the system will look at your appointment availability, and there is a feature where you can sync your calendar with Accommodate, like your work calendar, so that if you have, a meeting at 10 a.m. on Wednesday, it will block off the 10 a.m. slot and the student won't be able to pick that. So
All
a
right.
couple of ways, yeah. And so once the student finds a slot, no, okay, there we go. Okay, so they'll click on this, they'll click on the appointment slot, they'll get this confirmation page, and they'll see, the length of the appointment, who they're meeting with, when and where, all that information, and then they can type in any additional notes. You can also add fields to this form. So if there are specific questions you want to ask a student before an appointment, like, do you need accommodations for this appointment, or will you be bringing anyone, or right, we can add things to this page if you like.
Yeah, it will be great if the student can specify what the reason of his appointment.
Okay. And then do you want that to be just a text box like this, or do you want options for them to choose from?
Uh, a text box will be fine.
Okay, perfect. Okay, I'll add that. Okay, great. And then they can submit. There we go. And then they'll see that appointment listed here in requested appointments. And so that's all the student would need to do. So they can log in to accommodate, they'll click on appointment, and then they can use that form. And then internally, I'm back in the manager view of accommodate. So if you go into the appointments module, and the first tab is approved appointments, and the second tab is pending. So in pending is where all of those requests will land initially, right, before you process them. So the appointment will land in pending, and I can see right here that Louise has requested a follow-up appointment with Ellie, who's our fake staff member, on August 18th at 4, and then I can see any notes the student has added. If I open up the request, I can see that information more. And so if I add that question, what's the reason for the appointment, you'll be able to see that in here.
Okay.
And then you can immediately approve or reject. And then there are some automatic emails that can go out with either of those, or you can edit the request if you want to change the time, right? You can do all those things. So I'm going to just go ahead and approve. And now the appointment request will move from pending into approved. And so now it's sitting here in pending, and Louise will have gotten an automatic email saying your appointment request was approved. Here's all the information.
Okay.
Yeah.
In case I need to edit the request, will the student receive a notification?
If you need to edit the request, what you would want to do is you would want to make your change, like make whatever edits you're going to make, and then save the appointment and then approve it, because then those changes will go into the approved email. But the student won't get a notification if you edit it after that.
Okay.
Yeah. They will get a reminder. So if you do make changes, those changes would be reflected in the appointment reminder email that they can get the day before. But yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And then so other things, you can also manually schedule an appointment on behalf of a student. So if a student, calls and says, can I meet with you in an hour? They won't be able to schedule and accommodate because you have a 24-hour kind of advance notice. Like they have to schedule at least 24 hours ahead of time. So, but you can manually add an appointment for them. So if they call and say, can I come in today at 1? You can come into appointments. From the approved tab, you can click add new appointment, and then you'll fill out all the fields, right? So you'll put who they're meeting with, you'll put in the student's name, the type of appointment that that you're having with them, when you're meeting. And you can also you can do this after the fact. So if you met with a student, like a student just walked in and you met for an hour yesterday, you could put that information in later so that you have a record of that appointment.
Perfect.
And then you can also set up recurring appointments with students if you need to. You would put, the period of recurrence, so like a weekly appointment, and then how often, and then when it ends. Okay. You'll want to note that it's approved, and then making it viewable by would show it in the student and staff interface. So you want to make sure to do that as well. Then you can go ahead and submit. And so now you have an appointment that you added in for today. So
perfect.
Yeah. So a couple of other things with appointments. So staff availability is pretty important. So obviously we have approved appointments, pending requests, archived. Last thing is where appointment requests will go once they're over. So the appointment ends at 3. At 3:05, it moves into archived. If you decline or cancel an appointment, it also automatically goes to archived. Staff availability is where you will set up your appointment availability, every semester. So every semester you want to come in here and set up availability for every location where you'll be offering availability. So if you will be offering only virtual, great, you'll just need to make one. If you're going to offer virtual and in-person meetings, you'll need to make 2 availabilities, one for virtual and one for in-person. Okay. So you'll click add new. you'll give it a label. So we'll call this Fall 2021 Ellie Virtual. Actually, sorry, before I do that, I need to add a second location. So before I show you availability for locations, you had mentioned in your answers that you will be doing in person. Will you also still be doing virtual?
I believe so.
Okay. So when you're in person, what do you want that label to be? Like the building that you meet in, or what would be the label for the in-person meetings?
Okay.
Where do you offer those appointments?
Excuse me, can you?
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you now.
Okay. Can you where will those in-person appointments be located? Like what do you want the confirmation email to tell students?
The office, Osei office.
Okay. Is it like disability services office or what's
Yes, it's called Oficina a Servicios de Personas con Impedimentos.
okay. Can you put that in the chat?
Yes.
And then I'll copy it.
Where's the shot? Oh, it's here.
Okay, perfect. Okay. And then you had said for virtual, should we just put virtual? Is that
Yes, virtual will be okay.
okay? Perfect. Okay. So great. Now back to your availability. So every semester you'll come in here. So we're going to do fall 2021 Ellie virtual. So you're going to pick your staff member. You can copy old schedules. So, after you've done this once or twice, you can just copy your schedule from last semester so that you don't have to do this every time.
Okay.
But I'm going to have this be located virtual. You can set up rooms, but because it sounds like you send a new link for each virtual meeting, you'll want to continue to do that. So you'll just have to email the students separately.
Yeah, so we always have a new link for every appointment.
Okay. So the same way that you will send that out, like you'll just continue to do that. So you'll just have to email the student ahead of time and say, here's your link.
Yes, I believe so. I need to talk that with Mariel and the new member who will be joining us.
Okay, perfect. And then you'll want to put the date that the availability begins. So I'm going to start accepting appointments, on the 23rd, and then you put when the availability ends. You can put the start options. So if I want students to be able to schedule at 9 o'clock, 9:15, 9:30, or 9:45, right? You can kind of decide like how many slots they should see. So if you only want students to schedule on the hour, like at 9,
Okay.
10, or 11, you can just do the hour. You can kind of get as specific as you'd like.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, and then you'll put the types of appointments that you offer. So, and then you'll put allow walk-ins as related to kiosks, which we're not using at the moment, so you don't need to worry about that. And you'll want to put then the actual hours that you take appointments. So I know the office opens at 8, but maybe I don't start taking appointments until 9. You would start at 9. And then the last slot you choose is the last available slot that a student could schedule at. So maybe I want students to be done scheduling. Like I want the last scheduled appointment to start at 3:30. So.
Okay.
And then you will just put that for every day that you're available. And then you can decide if you want your appointments to auto approve. So everyone can sort of decide for themselves if they'd like that to happen. And if it's automatically checked no, so if I leave it checked no, then I have to go in and approve each request. But I can also set it to auto approve by checking yes, so that when students request, those appointments are automatically approved. And so then you just go ahead and submit. So any questions about
Yes.
setting up your availability?
Um, The last part, the auto approve appointments, I'm a bit confused.
Okay. So if I turn on auto approve, when a student requests an appointment, instead of um, having that appointment sit in requested, it would automatically get approved once they hit submit,
All
and it
right.
would automatically move to approved and they get that email. If not, it sits in requested and sits here for you in pending, until you approve it. So,
Okay. Okay.
yeah. So we'll just
Mm,
automatically approve all requests for you if you choose to have auto approve on.
all right. All right. Mm,
Yeah. And because the system is going to be looking at your calendar, it should be up to date, but again, totally something that you can decide, to manually approve yourself. Okay. And then what was I going to say? Let me look at notes. Okay, so we talked about virtual appointments. I updated your settings. I'd highlighted another question. Okay, about appointment length. So do you like the idea of having like a length tied to each appointment type, or would you like to see what the system looks like if students pick a type of appointment and then also pick the length? Would you want students to be allowed to decide how long the appointment is?
Um, the second option, because sometimes appointments take longer or short amount of time. So maybe maybe to not make the student choose the appointment because of the type of the length. Hmm, I'm really not sure right now.
Okay, that's okay. Um, that is no problem. I just want to, let's see. Um, oh, okay. So,
but but
yeah.
maybe yes, it will be helpful. So yeah.
Okay, let me show you what that looks like. So, okay. So the first option was like, if I look at the appointment types, it would say like initial interview, 60 minutes. In this option, I can pick, a follow-up interview, and then I can pick the appointment length. And you can
Okay.
put links in here for how long you want to give the student.
Okay.
So does that work?
Um,
Or do
that
you, or
that will
you
be
can think about it.
that will be great as well.
Okay, so we'll do we'll leave this on so that students can pick the appointment type, and then they choose how long they'd like to meet. And then,
All right, that will be perfect.
okay. And if you change your mind, that's totally fine.
Okay.
Um,
I will
let
talk with
me,
Mariel and the new member and see what do you
okay,
want.
great. Okay, okay, great. Let's see. Okay, so, okay, so then the only other thing is just the appointment emails. And so what I can do is send you, um, a couple of examples of appointment email templates, but basically you just want to think about what appointment emails you would like to go out.
Okay.
So with appointments, you can have an email go out when an appointment is requested. You can have an email go out automatically when appointment is approved. So do you have an idea of which appointment emails you'd like to make use of?
Um, can you tell me again? Sorry.
Sure. So yeah, and I could send you a list. So if you and Mary all want to think about it,
Okay.
but basically, you can have an email go out to the student when they request their appointment, to say,
Yeah.
thank you for requesting. You'll receive another email once it's approved or declined. You can also have an email go out when you approve an appointment request, or when you, and or when you decline an appointment request. So would you like to make use of any or all of those emails?
Yes, all of those.
Okay. I'm going to send you a list then of email templates that I'll need, and then I can send some examples of appointment email templates that other schools have put together, if that's helpful for you to review as you put yours together.
Yeah, yes, that will be perfect. I will appreciate that.
Okay, perfect.
For example, how long does the templates have to be?
Not long. So, like this one, you could say your request for an appointment has been approved.
Okay.
And then you can include the time and the date and the location, right? It could be as long or as short as you like. So really, it just depends on what information you'd like the student to have.
Okay, that will be perfect.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, perfect. So I'll send the list of emails we need, and then I'll send some example templates for you to review.
I will appreciate that.
Okay. And then once we have those, we can, and once you've had a chance to talk with Marielle about the appointment lengths, we can
Okay.
go through this again. But okay, let me turn off the recording.